Hello everyone. In this project, I worked on a customer choice classification problem using the Teleco customer choice dataset. The main goal was to predict whether a customer is likely to leave, but I did not want to treat it as only a prediction task. Because Tron model can influence real business decisions, I also focused on whether the model is understandable, fair across groups, reasonable, reliable, and usable in practice. I started with data cleaning and pre-processing. First, I checked the data structure, standardized the variable formats, and converted total charges into a proper numeric variable. I removed customer ID from the modeling process because it is only an identifier and does not add useful predictive information. For missing value, I used median imputation for numerical variables and most frequent imputation for categorical variables. Then I used scaling for numerical features and one-hot encoding for categorical features inside a pre-processing pipeline. I chose this pipeline-based setup to keep pre-processing consistently and to avoid leakage between training and testing. After that, I did some exploratory analysis. I looked at the class distribution and compared several important variables, especially tentative monthly charges and total charges between customers who stayed and customers who joined. This helped me build some intuition before training and model. For example, in Chuan problems, tenure is often very informative because short-term customers usually behave different from long-term customers. Uh, I also added detection as an extra step for data understanding. I used the isolation forest and local outlier factor to identify unusual customer profile. This was not the main prediction task, but it helps me check whether high unusual observations might also be related to churn risk. This gives a fuller picture of the dataset and can also help explain why some cases may be harder to classify. For the modeling stage, I use a classification setup because the target variable is Tron. I prepared several classical machine learning methods, including logistic regression, random forest, and Hayes gradient boosting. Instead of choosing one model immediately, I used stratified across validation to compare them. This made the model selection process more systematical and helped me see which model performed best across multiple folds, rather than relying on one single split. After selecting the strongest model, I evaluated on a separate holdout test set. I reported accuracy, precision, recall, F1 score, RCAUC, and the confusion matrix. I include multiple metrics because accuracy alone is not enough in column prediction. For example, recall is important because it tells us how many actual points the model can identify, while precision tells us how reliable the positive choice predictions are. The confusion matrix also makes it easier to see the balance between false positives and false negatives. I also trained a simple MLP neural network as a deep learning baseline. The purpose was not to build a very complex neural network, but to compare the more traditional machine learning approach with a baseline basic deep learning approach on the same dataset. This comparison helped me think about the trade-off between the model complexity and interpretability. Now, I want to talk about the responsible AI side of the project. I did not want to uh, stop at performance metrics because a churn model may affect who gets target for retention offers, discounts, or customer support. So I also checked whether the model behaved differently across groups. For fairness analysis, I kept variables such as gender and senior citizen for adulting. Then I compared group level behavior using positive prediction rate, true positive rate, and false positive rate. These metrics help me house whether one group is more likely to be flagged as prone risk, or whether the model makes more mistakes for one group rather than another. I think this is important because the model can look strong overall while still treating subgroups differently. I do not interpret fairness as a claim that the model is perfectly fair. Instead, fairness analysis makes departures visible and measurable. That is useful because once you can see those gaps, you can discuss whether they are acceptable, whether the threshold should be adjusted, or whether the data itself may contain structure bias. I also look at reliability, not just classification accuracy. In a real business setting, predicted probabilities are often used to rank customers by risk. So the reliability of those probabilities matters. Is the model if poorly calibrated, so the company may spend too many resources on the wrong customers or fail to focus on the customers who are actually most likely to leave. That is why I include a calibration-related check in addition to standard performance metrics. For interpretability, I used several methods at both global and local variable levels. At the global level, I used permutation, importance, and sharp. This method helps me understand which variables were most influential overall. In this kind of problem dataset, features such as tenure, monthly charges, total charges, contract type, and support-related service often play a major role. Global explanation is useful because it connects the model back to business factors that people can understand. I also use a partial dependency clause for select numeric feature. These plots show how predicted sharp risk changes as one variable changes, while averaging over the rest of data. This is especially helpful for variables like tenure or monthly charges because it shows the direction and the shape of their relationship with travel risk in a more punitive way. At the local level, I use the LRME to explain individual predictions. This matters because a company may want to know why one particular customer was flagged as a high risk. A local explanation can show which combination of features pushed the prediction toward churn. This makes the model more transparent at the case level and supported more informed human decision making. I also included counterfactual explanations. I think counterfactuals are one of the most partial explanation methods because they answer a very direct question. What would need to change for the prediction to change? For example, they can show if the customer had a different contract type or a different service profile, the model might predict a lower churn risk. This is useful because it makes the model output more actionable and less deterministically. From an ethical perspective, I focus on two main issues. The first is proxy bias. Even if the sensitive feature is not used directly in a harmful way, other variables may still indirectly reflect age, financial pressure, or unequal access to services. So bias can still exist through correlated features. The second issue is the impact of model errors. A false positive means a customer is treated as high risk even though they make a not leave. That could lead to unnecessary discounts or even treatment. False negative means the model misses a customer who is actually like to churn, which may result in a lost customer and a missed opportunity for interpretation. So it is important to think not only about performance numbers, but also about who is affected when the model is wrong. Finally, I considered what would be needed if this system were used in practice. A real development should include data quality checks, monitoring for drift, periodic retraining, fairness audits over time, and detailed logging of the model outputs and versions. It should also keep a human in the loop, especially for decisions and directly affect customer treatment. In other words, the model should support decision making, not replace human judgment completely. Overall, the project was designed as more than a basic classification exercise. I combined pre-processing, anomaly detecting, model comparison, performance evaluation, fairness analysis, reliability checks, global and local explanation, cycle reflection, and development considerations in one workflow. In conclusion, I built a Tron prediction system that is not only focused on accuracy, but also transparency, fairness, reliable, and practice use. The main takeaway is that useful Tron model should not only predict well, but also be understandable and responsible enough to support real business decisions. Thank you.